Hello everyone, my last video was a black opening against e4, so I want to give you something against d4, and what I've chosen is the Grünfeld defense, which meets d4 with knight f6, stopping e4, and here most players will play c4. This actually prevents us from playing d5 effectively, because now if d5, they will simply capture, and when we recapture they will take control of the center. With e4, our knight has nowhere good to go. So g6 is what we're going to play, and this makes it look like we're going to go into a King's Indian defense, which lots of white players are ready for, and after knight c3 we're going to shock them with d5. This move doesn't look like it's playable, but there is a difference between this position and the last one where we played d5, and that is because if they capture, this is really considered the main line. After knight captures, yes, they get to play e4 and take control of the center, but this time our knight has somewhere good to go. We can exchange knights and leave them with a bit of a weak c-pawn. After bishop g7, we put a lot of pressure on that diagonal. Knight f3 is the most played move, and now c5. Quite a nice move. Obviously they cannot capture because of bishop takes c3, and so most people play bishop e3. Here we're going to continue adding pressure to that weak c-pawn with queen a5. Now here there are two moves that you should be prepared for, both queen d2 and queen c2. Let's go over queen c2 first. We will simply capture. They cannot capture back with the c-pawn. And after they capture back with the knight, we are just going to castle and play knight c6, play against that weak pawn. We're already slightly better at an evaluation of about -0.5, and the win rate is quite good. It's about 57% for black. So the other move is queen d2. This is the better move, but even still, we will be winning a pawn in every line. We're going to castle, and there are two moves from here to be prepared for. Don't worry, we'll be winning a pawn in both lines. Rook c1 is the best move. But here we're going to put a lot of pressure on this knight and threaten to double white's pawns, which would ruin the pawn structure on both sides. Bishop e2 is what will be played. And now knight d7, a slow move, just allowing white to castle. But now we're going to chop everything off and win a pawn. Bishop takes knight, bishop takes bishop, and now not enough pieces are defending d4. We can just capture, and after white inevitably captures with the pawn, we're going to exchange queens, take on d4, and we're up a pawn. But most people online play bishop e2, not understanding the mounting pressure on d4. So knight c6, d5, once again, is just not playable because of bishop takes c3, winning the queen. And so most white players castle, but this does allow us to win a pawn after pawn takes, queen takes, bishop takes, and knight takes d4. We have won a pawn, our bishop is incredibly healthy, and we are winning. So you're now prepared for c takes d5. But what about the other moves? Well, the most popular move is bishop to g5. And here I have a fantastic line for you. They are threatening to take our knight and double our pawns, so we're going to play bishop g7. And now the most popular move by far is knight f3. And I have a very nice trap line for you here. Knight e4. Most people go wrong here. Over 40%. They play knight takes e4. Doesn't look like a blunder, but it is. Because after pawn takes knight, we are both attacking the knight and winning a pawn. So let's say knight d2, queen takes d4, and e3. e3 is the most played move, but it's again a mistake, because we can win yet another pawn. White may think that they can win our queen somehow, but this just gives up another pawn. This is the most played line, by the way, by far. I mean, virtually everyone plays these moves as white. Yes, white gets back one pawn, but after the very strong queen a5, white's in shambles. If they block with their queen, okay, we just take their queen and play a5, and we have a protected passed pawn. Even the square it's promoting to is protected. Guess the eval. It's -8. And they cannot block with the knight because this would undefend the bishop. and we'd be up a piece. Back to this position, you don't need to worry about knight f3 at any point, because it will almost definitely transpose. After bishop g7, bishop g5, knight e4, we're back in our trap line. So that should cover all the lines you need to get started, and I hope you have fun with the Grünfeld.